Hello, my name is Monica Angel and this is my vlog 2 for AEB3312. So today I'll be discussing blended learning from two exhibitions that we participated in the last 3 weeks. I will also be discussing multimedia technologies in which I participated in a stop motion this week. So the first exhibition I'll be discussing is our excursion to Science Works Think Ahead exhibition. It's all about the advances in technology past, present and future across 10 themes. So there was communication, medicine and health, music and sound, food, natural systems, transport, space, cities, daily life and money. So I'll be attaching the resource into this screen here. This worksheet provides 2 resources that could effectively guide student learning. So the first resource that I'm discussing is the exhibition. So the task at hand was to select one category and 2 installations from that category and discuss how it contributed to the advancement of technology. So this is the first installation that I chose. I have chosen to discuss 2 installations from the communication sector. In the first window I photographed, it was labelled The Rise of the Digital Age, and within that it displayed an assortment of computer parts and original prototypes. This installation aimed to show the advancement of computer technologies from the beginning to where they are now, and it even explained how there was a real concern about the internal clocks causing dangerous errors in the computer system when the dates changed in the millennium from the year 1999, create really dangerous errors because they thought the computers were going to register it as 1900s. So ultimately, it shows how technology was regarded a rarity and how that's changed over time, where it's just a normal integration into our society. The second the second installation that I photographed, I'll insert here. That was the second window that I photographed, and the installation was regarding the telephone and how that communication has contributed to our society today. Its overall discussion was concerning how communication has changed over the last 200 years. So the advancements from sending mail, how that used to occur, and also any telegraphs, to now obviously we have systems such as text messages, which are instant, as we all know. I think it's really important to note how quickly that change occurred. So text messages haven't really existed for that long, so that I think for our digital natives, that's something that they need to be aware of, that it actually hasn't been that long since the text message came into our society. I picked these 2 windows as I think it's important for our younger generations to realise the advancements in our newer technologies such as computers and smartphones, because although, as it's explained in the installations, it hasn't been that long since the text messages and the smartphone have been adapted into our society. So these advancements occurred quite rapidly as well, and I think that provokes an interesting discussion about how quickly our society is developing technology-wise. The Think Ahead exhibition is really interesting and blends innovative technology with hands-on experiences. It allows students to research, think creatively and share ideas about the past, present and future technologies. So I think it's important that students are aware of these technologies and how they've shaped our lives. Some activities that might support the content of this exhibition include giving students a task to improve or create new technologies from scratch, and all the details that they would have to go into to allow that to happen. Alternatively, they could do a research project on how these technologies come about, so from start to finish, what the process is in developing a technology such as solar power. Another activity that we could use in the classroom is creating scenarios where students will have to think about the impact to the environment, so maybe creating green solutions for already existing technologies. So moving forward, we also visited the Top Designs exhibition at the Melbourne Museum this last week, and I will pop the resource in here. The Top Designs exhibition showcases the best work from VC students across the state. The subjects that are represented in the exhibition include media film, media photography, media print, visual communication design, food technology, systems engineering, interactive digital media, product design and technology, which includes wood, metals and plastics, and also the textiles as well. The gallery has multiple ways of presenting the students' work. Most of all this students' work contain a folio which visitors can look through while they are walking through the exhibition. Obviously there's the visual element of being able to see some of the technologies in action, and also with some of the media, digital media, they can be quite interactive as well, so there was some computer programming. It walks you through from system engineerings into the interactive media. You've got textiles, visual design, the food technologies, also media print, and then the film. So it was a nice flow with each category having its own section in the exhibition. So a forum speaker that I would choose if I was to take my students to this exhibition was Dr. Giancarlo Barker. He is the co-founder and director of the Monash Swarm Robotics Laboratory. So he specializes in swarm robotics, and the reason for choosing him is that he actually came from a lower socioeconomic background and developed quite an interest in these technologies at an early age. And despite moving out of home at quite a young age, he was able to pursue his dream, follow through with his education to be able to build these new technologies today. One of the projects that he's currently working on is with quadcopters. So I think that's really interesting. I'll place a little image here. A speaker like that would inspire students, because regardless of what your background is, obviously you can achieve your goals if you set out to pursue them. And I think Top Designs is a really great way to showcase that kind of drive in students as well. I think it's also a really interesting viewpoint to have someone who's interested in, who can discuss robotics and things like that, because it's not such a commonly talked about technology in the education system. So now I'm going to put in the 3 students' work that I really appreciated while at the exhibition. The 2 students were from the visual communication sector of the exhibition, and they showcased the production of 2 packaging lines. So one of them was for sorbet and the other one was for macaroons. So I just thought that they really showcased their work and had a really organized folio from start to finish. That was very clear. The 3rd student that I've chosen to discuss was James Embry from St. Paul's Anglican School in Warragul. He had The Shaper's Canvas, so it was a documentary filmed on the production of surfboard making and that creative process and how that occurs. I just thought that the way that he had chosen to film that and put it together was really quite professional. I think his work had the edge to compete with current television shows that are out there with how professional he put that piece together. The benefits of bringing students to an exhibition like Top Design include inspiring them to look forward and gain inspiration from other students. Also understanding what the quality, the standard is to achieve to end up in an exhibition like Top Designs. I think that's really, really important, especially for maybe year 11 or 12 students who at the beginning are doing a design type subject and may not understand the full process of what that might look like. So it might also be helpful to students who aren't sure whether they want to pursue this in tertiary education as well. So I think that that's the real benefits of bringing students to Top Designs. And obviously seeing students that are there in their age range producing such a high standard of work is really inspiring. Bringing students to a forum speaker is really helpful because they get to give you a little bit more insight, a little bit more background information into the Top Designs. They may have played a part in choosing some of the work, and they might be able to explain to the students what they're looking for when they're picking folios for Top Design. So I also think it's really nice to get a professional opinion on a particular exhibition like this. Ultimately, having a forum speaker to be able to give some insight about what it's like working in their chosen field would be really great to explain to students, to understand what they do for a living and how they got to be where they are. As I mentioned before, if James Embry was my student and I needed to scaffold some activities to be able to help him with his filmmaking, I would achieve this by getting him to film from various different angles, working with learning ICT skills such as perhaps something a bit more advanced than Movie Maker, like Final Cut Pro, giving him activities to do with that to be able to enhance his video editing skills. And if I had to scaffold that for a primary school setting, going back to my first vlog, I would probably suggest maybe camera angles on the students, on the lower students level, which would allow them to play with different angles of the camera, get familiar with the camera, maybe upload some footage and do some minor editing on it, or have a look at it and play it back and see what results are achieved from that. And finally, for my skill that I learnt for this vlog, I attempted stop motion and I used iMovie to edit it. So stop motion is a animation technique used to make a physically manipulated object appear to be moving on its own. So the process is to photograph an object in small increments between individually photographed frames to create the image, the illusion of image. It requires a little bit of thought prior to beginning, because you obviously have to have a plot and understand where everything is going to be moved to and what you're trying to achieve. Here is a short clip of the stop motion that I created. So to create my stop motion, I began the process by positioning my camera on a tripod and photographing whilst moving the objects incrementally between each frame. The key is to have quite a steady camera, and to keep that using a tripod was really helpful, and just keep snapping away and keep moving. So I had a rough idea as to how I wanted it to look at the end, and I think that was really helpful in trying to achieve my final result. When I put it into the editing program, which was iMovie, I actually came across a few little errors. So there is something called the Ken Brun effect, and what that means is that when an image is placed into iMovie, it automatically has a zoom feature. So in succession, once I had placed all my frames in order and put the seconds that I needed to have on in each one, it worked, but it also created this kind of jilted effect in my stop motion, which was really quite annoying to watch. So I had to overcome that challenge and make sure that and I did that by making my photos fit to screen, prior to inserting my images into the editing software. So just a little tip if anyone was going to try and do that out there. Ultimately, iMovie is not the greatest movie maker for stop motion. The reason being is because the lowest second you can make the frame fit for is 1.0 seconds, whereas the recommended stop motion time frame is around about 0.15 seconds to 0.17 seconds to achieve that really fluid movement in your film. How I overcame that was by placing all the images, creating them all for 1 second, and then I had to export and then import back in, and then create and once the film had been imported, I was able to fast forward it ×4, and it created the effect that I ultimately wanted. So that is it for my vlog today. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much.